Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Let's still wait a bit for people to join. Thomas, Urban, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks, Sonia. Thanks for welcoming us. Thanks, everybody. Doing great. Yeah, really excited to have the webinar, to have many people joining and talking about the very interesting topic of investing long term.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here as well. Urban, I haven't seen you today. How are you?
Yeah, hi Sonia, I'm fine, thank you. I'm really excited about the seminar today. So it's very cool that so many people have signed up.
Yes, I hope that we gonna have a lot of people in the audience. Yeah, I think it's now 1 past 6. I would say just let's do it.
Let's go.
Cool, let's start.
Okay. So hello and welcome again to the webinar, Ladies Who Rock and Invest. Before we jump to the exciting part, I just want to quickly talk about the technical setup. The webinar will last about 45 minutes, including a Q&A session at the end. On the right side, you should see a little chat function. Feel free to drop question whenever you want to. We have our colleagues Karina and Niklas there who will try to answer your questions or forward them to the Q&A session. In case we don't manage to answer all your questions, we gladly answer them afterwards via email. The chat, by the way, is set to private, so that means only the Selma crew and you yourself can read your message. The webinar will also be recorded and shared via email, and you will also find it on our YouTube channel. So lean back, relax, because you can rewatch this as often as you want to, and you don't have to worry that you missed anything. Oh, and before I forget it, there's also a little surprise at the end at the webinar, so stay tuned for that. So now some of you might have the question, okay, why are we hosting this webinar? Personally, I'm super excited that we are having it and that we are having a webinar focused on women, because let's face it, the financial world is still a man's world, and with this cliche of this rich man invest only. Unfortunately, also studies show that women are really more hesitant to invest, although it's also shown that women in general invest far better than men, and they are more successful with it. But still, only 18% of women in Switzerland invest regularly. But how come that women are hesitant to invest? Recent studies have shown that 82% of women just feel super uncomfortable when they're talking about investing. 50% mentioned that they just don't have enough money, and 40% think it's just way too risky, and 33% think that the financial world in general is just damn complicated. So we at Salma want to change this. As an all-in-one investment service for long-term investing and Pillar 3A, we want to bust the myth that investing is risky, complicated. Wow, that's a complicated word. And only for the rich. So now you might be wondering, who are actually these people who try to tell me something about investing? So my name is Sonia. I'm content marketing manager at Selma Finance, and I'm your host in this session. Unfortunately, we don't have any ladies in our customer success team. So I asked the second best choice to join me for this webinar, Thomas and Urban. Thomas, maybe do you want to go first with introducing yourself?
Yes, thank you, Sonia, and thank you very much for the very interesting introduction. Well, my name is Thomas, as you might have known already. Maybe some of you have already seen me in the chat or in the email services of Selma. I'm there and responsible for the customer success. So whenever customers have questions with us, they will turn to our team. And me and myself, I definitely share the passion of Selma for investing long term and make the whole topic of investment much more understandable and approachable for everybody out there, because it's just such an important topic. I've been in the financial industry for more than 25 years, and yeah, really great that I can hopefully give a little bit of insight and learnings from what is good to keep in mind when investing money.
Yes, thank you. Urban, do you also want to introduce you quickly?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Urban, and I am financial planner at Selma. There, I'm responsible for all questions from our clients about the pension system in Switzerland. Maybe you have already heard something about the first, second, or third pillar, and if all this stuff sounds very complicated for you, maybe I can help you.
I'm super glad to have you both in this webinar with me. Let's have a quick look at the agenda today. So we will have a look at this broad topic of investing, explain some basics, and give you also some tips and tricks. We also hear about the possibility on how to invest when you actually run your own business. Then we also want to introduce you a bit to Selma and the Selma community. And last but definitely not least, we have the already mentioned Q&A session. So since investing might be kind of a new term for many of our audience, let's get started with a very basic but important question. Urban, could you maybe tell us a bit more about what investing actually is?
Yeah, sure. I think first of all, it's important to get the same feeling and the same understanding on what is investing when we talk about it. Generally, we divide it into two parts. We have speculate and invest. Speculate happens in casinos and is for day traders. A day trader, for example, chooses one single stock and hopes that it will go up rapidly over a short period of time. The profits are mostly dependent on luck, and also it takes a lot of time to get information about the stocks and monitor the prices. On the other hand, we have invest. Here you plan for the long term and you invest broadly diversified. The goal here is to spread the risk as best as possible and let the money grow up over the long term. So when we at Selma talk about investing, we mean the second one and not speculate.
Definitely. So thanks a lot for this explanation. Let's say I have already decided I want to invest. Thomas, could you maybe give me an insight on what is important to consider and to think about when I want to invest?
Yeah, as Urban so rightly said, always think when you invest money that it's about investing and not speculating. And what we have learned in the past, what the last 5, 10, 20 years have shown us is that investing over time does make such a lot of sense. It's just important to keep also some rules into your mind and to consider those when investing money long term. First of all, put a cash buffer aside. What is a cash buffer? Well, the cash buffer is like this iron reserve that you should always keep as cash on your own bank account. You should not invest that money. It's just to cover your expenses in case something unexpected happens, and you do not have to immediately go back to your investments. Keep a cash buffer on your own bank account. Think long term. As Urban already said, do not speculate, but invest your money for the long term. Actually, the best would be to orientate yourself to your pension age. And there, of course, for many of us, we have many years, if not decades ahead of us, where we can still go and invest money. So start now and invest many, many, many years. Ideally, you should invest your money for at least 10 years. Create a plan. Well, this is maybe easier said than done, but of course we can help you in that. A plan means that you should have a clear vision of how you would like to invest over time. Do not invest everything at once, but come up with a plan on how to build your investments over time. It makes a lot of sense to also invest regularly. So not invest everything at once, but do it over a certain period of time. Another very important topic is when investing your money, as Urban already said, do not put everything into one stock or one company, even if you believe in it very much. Things might go the other way. So diversification, as we call it in the investment world, maybe a very complicated word, but diversification is very important because it means basically something that your grandmother might have told you. not to put all your eggs into the same basket. Spread your risks. Invest in many different companies, invest in many different ways. We have precious metals, everything that comes into my mind and offers you a great possibility to balance your risks by investing in a very diversified way.
So you mentioned now the word risk. I mean, some people
Mhm.
might get
Mhm.
super scared of this term. So could
Mhm.
you maybe explain a bit more? What do you mean by risk?
Very important point also. What actually does risk mean when we talk about investing? Risk doesn't mean that there is always a fire on the roof and that something bad is always around the corner. Risk only means how much can your investments fluctuate in value in the short term. They might go up strong, they might also go down. That's when they go up or down more than in an average year, then we financial professionals or the financial industry is talking about risk. So beware of your risks because markets can always go up, they can also go down. And whenever you make your investments decision, you should be aware of that. That's very important for you.
Okay, so don't
And then,
panic.
of course,
What do you mean by that?
exactly. Yes, that's very important too. So don't panic. Whenever you see something happening, don't panic, sit down, have a thought, think rational about it, and not emotional. So emotions, even if it's hard for many of us, but emotions are, when it comes to investments, actually the burst uh, advisor that is there. So do not act on emotions. I always use this kind of an example when it comes to how people react emotionally in a different way depending on the situation. So just imagine you stand in front of a department store and there you see a big sign there reading, today everything is minus 20%. Well, what is your reaction? Actually, you say, wow, great. I might do some shopping. Let's go and buy something. Now imagine the same happens when you walk down in Zurich, the Bahnhofstrasse, and then you go to the stock exchange, and there you see a sign. Oh my God! Today everything is down 20%. Your first reaction probably is, "Oh my God! Is it tumbling down? What is happening? Should I sell everything?" So this just gives an example on how differently you emotionally react when it comes to investment. And don't panic. Try to make your decisions without emotions.
Yeah, definitely. So don't get too emotional. So we heard now about investing and what you should keep in mind. But I, and probably also maybe some of our audience, ran quite often into this term of Pillar 3A. You already mentioned it, Urban. And as our expert, could you maybe tell us a bit more about what is Pillar 3A and how does it differ from a regular investment account?
Yeah, sure. So in general, there are two different ways of investing money in Switzerland, the Pillar 3A you mentioned and a normal investment account. The main difference is that with Pillar 3A, you have a tax benefit. But on the other side, the money is also in general locked up until your retirement. Then it is strictly regulated how you can invest the money there. Or for example, how much you can deposit per year. Here, employees can currently pay in 6,800 Swiss francs per year, and the self-employed can pay in 20% of their net income. So, as said before, the money in Pillar 3A is generally locked until retirement. But there are exceptions for early withdrawals. For example, if you buy a house that you live in yourself or you start with a self-employed business. On the other side, we have the possibility of a regular investment account, and here you're completely flexible. So there are no deposit limitations and you can withdraw money whenever you need it, but you have no tax advantages.
Okay, thanks for that. So I'm sure some of our attendees are not native Swiss and are wondering about their Pillar 3A situation. Would you say a Pillar 3A is also an option for expats?
In many cases, yes, but If you want to be 100% sure, you should check that with your tax advisor. For example, in the first 5 years in Switzerland, you were taxed normally at the source. In this situation, it's important to consider that you need to apply for an ordinary tax procedure. Only if you do so, you can benefit from the tax situation. If you do so, you need to fill out the tax declaration form. And as you probably know, the tax rules are slightly different in each part of Switzerland. For example, the tax situation is a bit different in Bern than in Zurich. Therefore, if you pay source tax, it makes a lot of sense to take a close look at it with a tax advisor to see if it really makes sense. But after the first 5 years in Switzerland, you normally get taxed ordinary with the normal tax declaration form. And from then on, it definitely makes sense.
Okay, that's good to know. So since Pillar 3A is such a kind of Swiss-specific thing, would you say it also benefits me even if I already know, okay, maybe in 10 years or so, I move away again?
Yeah, sure, why not? Because Pillar 3A makes also a lot of sense in this situation. As long as you're living in Switzerland, you get the tax advantage. And if you move abroad, you can choose if you want to keep the money invested or also have the possibility to withdraw the money. This is one of the exceptions for a withdrawal before the retirement.
Okay. So we heard now quite a bit on how to invest in general. What is this Pillar 3A thing? Now there might be people who consider to have their own business or might have already their own business. So do you have any recommendations there on how to invest when I already have a business myself?
Yeah, sure. So in most cases, self-employed people don't have a company pension fund. So there is no second pillar. This means that when people retire, they only receive a monthly pension from the first pillar. And in the first pillar is the maximum monthly pension about 2,300 Swiss francs a month. And in most cases, this is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because the second pillar is missing, it is even more important to save additional money for retirement. If it is in Pillar 3 or normal investment account, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Our best
Thomas.
is both.
Best is both, of course. Thomas, do you have any additional tips for small business owners?
Well, first of all, let me say it's great that you're getting out there and start your own business. I mean, all the best for that. I really admire that. And however, as you know, probably yourself even better than I do, as a business owner, you also have certain risks. It might have to do with the nature of the business that you are founding, but of course, what you don't know exactly opposite to when you are employed is, as a business owner, you don't necessarily know how will your future income develop on a regular basis. So as you don't, in many cases, don't earn a salary, you don't really have a clear monthly income that you can count on. And this, I guess, is something that you should definitely consider. So there might be quite a lot of fluctuations from month to month when it comes to your income, and that of course also influences how can you cover the monthly expenses that you have. So there might be months with lower income, and then there might be months with higher income. Keep that in mind. This is also the reason why we think you should keep a larger cash buffer. As initially explained, the cash buffer is like this iron reserve that should be kept as cash on your own bank account, just in order to cover expenses in case something unexpected happens. As a business owner, we think that cash buffer should be at least 6 times of your normal expected monthly expenses. Might even be higher, an amount that you feel comfortable with. And only money that is beyond the cash buffer that can and then should also be invested long term. Now, again, depending on the business that you are founding, it might be more riskier. It might maybe be not that risky, depending also on the customer side, on the business structure that you run. Will you have more employees and stuff like that? So do also consider all these kind of different parameters, of these risk parameters, if you want to call it like that, when also considering how your money should be invested, and if your investments then should be done with a higher level of risk or maybe with a lower level of risk, giving you some more stability.
Thanks, Thomas. So since Pillar 3A is one of our favorite topics to talk about, Urban, this might be a question for you. What should I consider as a self-employed person when I'm thinking of Pillar 3A?
I think especially for Pillar 3A, here is the possibility to withdraw the money if you start as a self-employed person. This is a great way to finance the first investments at the beginning of your own business. But it's important to know that this is only possible in the first year. Also, you can only withdraw the full amount of an account. But for sure, if you have multiple 3A accounts, you don't need to withdraw all of them. And especially for self-employed people, there is this higher maximum amount you can deposit every year. For self-employed people, you can pay in 20% from your net income, but in maximum this 34,000 Swiss francs. An employee on the other side may only pay in 6,800 Swiss francs every year. The reason for that larger limit is because as a self-employee, you normally have no second pillar. With this higher limit, you can compensate for that.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks a lot, Urban. So, since the three of us are Selma Finance people, we would also like to introduce Selma to our audience. Thomas, maybe you could tell us who and what is Selma?
Wow, look at the team. It has grown quite a lot.
Yes.
I started 2 years ago, and back then we were only 7 people, and now we are approaching and crossing the 20 members number. On the left-hand side, as you can guess, you see the pictures of our team. We take pride that it's a very international team. It's a very diverse team. This is a topic of women investing. So, of course, it would be great to see many more women also joining the team. That's something that we are actively working on. And this is definitely a goal of us also to welcome even more in our team, maybe even in customer support. And important for you to know, you can find us under selma.com. So when you go there, you see all the information that you need in terms of account opening, advice on how to invest, background information, important things you might be interested in. Who is actually behind Selma? Well, of course, there are investors behind Selma who are part of our community and of our family. The biggest and best known investors behind Selma is first Sparrow Ventures. Not sure if this name is familiar to you, but I guess everyone in Switzerland knows Migros. Migros Corporation, Migros Bank, and Sparrow Ventures actually is the financing arm and investment arm of the Migros conglomerate. And then a second larger investor is TX Group. That's actually one of the biggest, if not the largest, media conglomerate in Switzerland. So actually, we are very proud that we have both very high profile and very well-known companies for us, and hopefully for our clients. This is a proof of confidence when such big companies are putting their name behind Selma and want to accompany us on our journey of supporting everybody out there with investing money. So for us, this is a huge proof of confidence that we have those partners on board.
Okay, so now we know who the Selma team is and who is behind Selma. But can you also tell us what is Selma?
What is Selma? Well, now I come up with a sentence that I say many times. So Selma is this online investment service provider that provides you with a long-term investment solution based on your profile, and your profile is your both your financial situation and your attitude towards risk. So what happens when you sign on with Selma? There will be very easy to answer questions. You will go into a chat with Selma, and Selma will ask all the necessary questions in order to sign up and set up your profile with Selma.
Okay.
What you will then get, you will get an overview. Here you see a print screen of our mobile app where you see a summary of your financial situation, where you will then also, in case you open accounts with Selma, where you can also see in a very transparent way. Transparency, by the way, is very, very important to us and should also be important for our clients. So where you can see in a very transparent way how your money is invested and how investments develop over time. As you might already have guessed, there are two different investment account types at Selma. So one is investments, as we call it. This is the regular investment account that Urban was talking about. And then we also offer a solution for Pillar 3A. Actually, Selma is the first digital provider in Switzerland where you can combine both accounts under one roof.
Very nice.
So what does then actually Selma do for you? Well, we take care of your investments so that you have time for spending your time for your business, for many other things you want to do in life, and not care about and not spend your time on the very important topic of investments. So we want to be, and this actually is our DNA. This is why Selma was founded, that we have a low barrier possibility to invest money long term. Most of our clients actually, they are using Selma for regular investments, so to build investments over time, which makes a lot of sense, which at least in the past has proven to be a very good strategy. For the investment account, you will get an individual plan for your investments. They will be invested in a very diversified way. Diversification, this is done by Selma automatically. You don't have to do anything for that. In the Pillar 3A, we work together with another partner because there are only certain institutions in Switzerland who are actually allowed to administer funds in Pillar 3A. There we work together with VZ. Maybe you know that company already. And they offer 6 different strategies on how to invest your money in Pillar 3A. Selma can help you in finding the best strategy that fits your profile. You are then free to choose in case you want to invest with another profile, with another strategy. As I said, we have a chat, we have a financial advisory services. So whenever you have questions regarding your investments, please drop us a chat, write us an email, get in contact with us, and our team is very eager to help you in a fast and understandable way. No blah blah. So this is also very important to us. And as a bonus, if you want to, you can get a free financial checkup. That's also something that you can activate on our web pages, and then we will have a look on your profile and give you some feedback on that.
So yes, if you want to chat with Thomas or Urban, feel free to do so. Selma also offers a sustainable investing option. Can you also give us maybe a little overview about that?
Wow, sustainability, of course, very important topic. So also to our clients, we have many clients at Selma investing in a sustainable way. Actually, here we offer an option. So you can opt for sustainability or you can opt for a so-called standard strategy. What happens if you opt for the sustainable strategy? Then Selma will make sure that your money is only invested in those products, so in these ETFs, as we call them, in ETFs that comply with these international standards for sustainable investment. Sounds complicated, but we make sure that certain sectors are excluded and that your money is really invested in a very sustainable way. Important for you, and maybe I'm repeating here myself, but important for you to know that even in the sustainable version, your money is very, very broadly diversified, because this is such an important element when investing long term. When it comes to Pillar 3A, there also all investments are picked with sustainability criteria, and there are investment scores and sustainability scores taken into consideration when choosing the products that your money will be invested in.
Okay, that sounds very good. Yeah, thanks a lot for this nice, sweet intro to Selma. As Selma is growing, so is also the Selma community, and I would like to give you a quick overview about that. We do have some exciting things for our community already in place, and even more exciting stuff is coming up. So on our webpage, you find, for example, our open roadmap where you can request new features or just see what we are planning to work on in the future. You also find our Facebook group there where we post sneak peeks into upcoming features and a lot of other cool things. Soon on your screen near you will be the new content platform where you find a lot of educational content about all things finance and investing, but also our past and upcoming webinars. And next to our content platform, we are also planning more events online and offline. We already have some ideas in mind, but we would love to hear from you which city you want to have a Selma event to take place. So now is your chance. There should be a ball in the ball tab where you can vote for your preferred city. And yes, we already discovered during this webinar that our customer success team is lacking women power. So we'd love to mention that we are hiring. There are currently several roles open in design, development, customer success, as already mentioned. So yeah, check this out on our Selma webpage. And yes, last but not least, are you two ready for some questions?
Definitely.
Okay, I will try to find some. I think we are pretty good in the time, so we can take 2 or 3 different ones.
Sounds great.
Sounds good, yeah.
Let's maybe start. I think, Urban, this might be a question for you. Maya is asking, I heard I can become part of pension fund myself. How does that work?
Oh, that is a good question. So I think the question here is whether you can voluntarily join a pension fund as a self-employed person. And yes, it is possible. The best way to do so is to ask your professional association if they can offer something. I've seen good solutions, for example, from the Switzerland's Doctors Association or also from the Hairdresser Association. So you see, there are solutions for you. They can refer you to the right people, and normally you get a good advice directly from these second pillar providers, if it makes sense or not.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. What else do we have here? Okay, so Celine asks, in my opinion, a very good question. How much does Selma cost, and how is the comparison to a common bank?
Oh, can I
Who
take
wants
that?
to get this?
Can I take that? That's a great question,
Go
Celine.
for it.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. That's really a great question, because when it comes to costs, when it comes to investing, then actually cost is such an important theme. So it's very important to keep costs in mind. When Selma was founded, our goal was, and our aim, our whole DNA is to provide a very cost-efficient way of investing money long term, and especially compared to the traditional banks. Just imagine, I mean, a 1 percentage point difference in costs during 1 year might not sound that much, but on the other hand, when you invest your money for 5, for 10, maybe even for 20 years, well, multiply this 1% by 20, so you end up with 20% of your money getting more into costs and losing it to costs. So it does make a lot of sense to be critical and very much check on the costs. And here Selma is opposite to traditional banks, definitely a much more cost-efficient provider. What I love with Selma is also two different things. First of all, we definitely support regular investments. So at Selma, it doesn't make a difference in terms of the costs whether you deposit one time 10,000 Swiss francs, just as an example, so that's just an example number. So if you deposit one time 10,000 Swiss francs, or if you deposit 10 times 1,000 francs. For the cost, it doesn't make a difference, but for the investment outcome, it might actually make a lot of difference. It makes much more sense to invest regularly, so do 10 times 1,000 and not once 10,000. And what Selma is also doing, as I said, I mean, we offer those two different accounts, and we offer the opportunity to combine both accounts, to combine the value of both accounts, and allow you to go into lower cost and fee brackets in case you reach certain levels of your investments at Selma.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Question. And of course, let me add, we want to be very, very transparent when it comes to costs. Everything, and there is no small prints there, everything that has to do with costs, you can find it in a very transparent way on our pricing page. So again, selma.com, go to our pricing page, and there you will see everything that has to do with costs before your investments.
Exactly. I think we can still take one or two questions. I think there's one related to Pillar 3A. So Urban, this might be your question again. So Leila says, I can deposit 20% of my income. I don't know how much that is yet. How much should I deposit?
Yeah, that is a really good question. So for sure, as a self-employed person, the income can be very different from month to month. So in this situation, it is better to pay too much than too little. If it is too much, that's absolutely no problem. You will receive a letter from the tax authorities, and we can pay back the overpaid amount. So better paying too much to benefit from the full tax advantage.
Sounds good, sounds good. There's also another one. It says, is it possible to choose or change the products with Selma?
Shall I take that?
Please,
yes.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, I guess what the question means is, can you influence the content of your investments at Selma? Well, to a certain extent you can. And what you can influence is what is the overall risk level of the investment. As explained before, Selma looks at your profile. So we see what is your financial situation, what is your willingness towards risks. And from that information, Selma comes up with an investment portfolio, investment solution that fits to your profile. And here we talk about the overall risk level of that. In case you want to have lower risk, Selma takes that into consideration, and then, like on a scale, increases or decreases the amount that is invested with stability. Outside of that, Well, you can change from sustainable, you can change to the standard strategy, but we believe actually it makes a lot of sense that we make the investments decision on your behalf, so that we invest the money fully diversified for you. The problem is, the more choice you might have, well, you also have the pain of choosing, and to guess around, is this might be better for me, or maybe something else is better for me, and in the end you end up with something that doesn't fit your profile. So we want to make sure that your investments fit your profile. You can trust in Selma that this is done all the time, and that we make those decisions on your behalf.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes perfectly sense. We are still quite good in time. I'm checking the chat once more. There's another one that might fit very well. So what minimal yearly income would you recommend to have before starting to invest regularly?
Oh,
Do we have a good answer for that?
I can take that. I can definitely take that. Well, actually, we don't really think that there is a minimum income that you should have. That allows you to invest. Actually, we want to make sure that even if you have a year where you don't have maybe that high of an income, that you still have an ability to invest. What is important for you to keep in mind is not what is the minimum income, but what is the minimum amount, or the amount in general that I can invest. So keep in mind that you should, before even starting to invest, you should have a proper cash buffer. We explained already that the cash buffer is this iron reserve of cash that you keep on your own bank account, and that should not be invested. It should be at least 6 times of your average monthly expenses. So make sure you have that even before starting to invest. And on the other hand, what we also say, on top of that, of the cash buffer, if you would already have other expenses planned, say like something in your flat should be refurbished, or you want to buy a car, or you want to maybe go on a long vacation over the next couple of years, so that money that you will need for that expenses, you should keep that also as cash on your own bank account. So this gives you like the minimum amount of cash you should keep on your own bank account. And when you have excess cash on top of that, that money can and should also be invested long term, but do not invest everything at once. Invest it regularly.
Yes.
I hope this somehow answers the question.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I think, yeah, we can end this Q&A session. Just a reminder for our audience, if we haven't answered your questions in the chat or now in the Q&A session, we will answer them via email. And yeah, so you will get your answer, definitely. And yes, before we end this session, we still have one surprise. So for everyone who decided now to give Investing with Selma a try, you can enter the code InvestingRocks25 when opening your account, and you get a 25 Swiss franc bonus on both the Billa3A and the investment account. So yeah, check that definitely out. So that was it from our side. Thank you, Thomas and Urban, for joining me and hosting this webinar with me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia.
And yes, a huge thank you to our audience. Have a great evening.
Thank you all very much. See you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.